Hey guys, this is miicrow. I wanted to talk about the dev video that just went out, and in a nutshell, if you're going to watch this for the next 5 seconds, this is the important thing you need to take away.
625 in the future. So we already talked about the wards and the resilience. Other perks will be going away. Some of the underperforming perks that
So basically, Gearscore is going to be increased to 625, above 625 in the future, which I think would imply that the next season is going to start off at 625 or maybe 626, and then from there, you're going to progress to the next threshold. So it's going to be sunsetting the kind of current gear that you have as a whole. So this basically kind of sounds the alarm of probably need to stock up on mats and gear in the current patch may or may not be worthless for the next patch that will be up and coming in a little bit under 12 days is where we'll actually get to see it. Usually they put out a PTR a month before the season ends, and then they'll have a month of testing, and then they'll have the game come out. And I would suspect within 12 to 13 days here, so a little bit under 2 weeks that we'll be getting that. I wouldn't be surprised if it is like exactly 2 weeks from now either, because 2 weeks from now would be a Monday, and that's just a good time to launch this kind of thing. That's where we'll get to season 3 has 30 days left, and that will put the timer on, or season 2 has 30 days left, and I'll put the timer on for season 3 to be up and coming. So we're gonna have those gear changes coming quickly. The main thing you need to know from this is that health is going to be replacing resilient and ward inherently on gear. So if you have gear that is conditional, this is not a great character to show this off on, is it? But if you have gear that has like a ward or has a resil, that's going to turn into a health perk that's going to be similar to a health on an amulet, which is basically a must-have perk for both PvP and for PvE. So I don't love this solution because it trades you trade one must-have perk for another must-have perk, which I don't think is very healthy for the game. The part that makes this very interesting from a PvP perspective is this makes the game a lot more dynamic. In the current state for PvP, if I am an SNS player, I will literally turn my back to people and not care if they hit me from behind because I won't take additional damage because of Resilient just maxing out the amount of crit damage reduction that I can be dealt. So it basically makes the game at a high level PvP perspective a lot less dynamic. You don't really care about having your back turned to someone, like you're going to try to run away, you're never going to try to put your body in front of them. You're not going to it basically going to turn out to be like a indirect buff to classes that can headshot and to melee based classes, because melee based classes can go for a flanking attack, and if you go for a flanking attack, that is a guaranteed crit. For a class that is more range based that can crit, like a bow, a musket, and a blunderbuss. So these ranged classes, these classes also inherently get a buff because if they go for headshots, they will get that guaranteed crit, and that guaranteed crit will actually do extra damage. Versus on the current patch, if you go for a crit with blunderbuss, it effectively does nothing, so there's no reason to do it. Most people don't try to go for crits on bow or musket because they're more so focused on actually hitting the target rather than trying to perfect the amount of damage that they could output. So that's something that's going to increase the skill gap in PvP a bit, where people will be going for headshots more, I imagine, at the because Resilient is going to be replaced with this health-based perk. Some people are saying that, oh, everyone's going to be super, super tanky next patch. I don't imagine that's going to be the thing, because that health is going to be compensated for by those extra crits that you're going to be taking. Some other notable changes is they are going to be increasing the actual cooldown inherent on attunement. So that attunement cooldown right now is relatively short. It is basically a flat damage increase, so it is kind of a must-have in every single build. That is going to be increased to compensate for that perk just being generally overused. I don't think this is good enough to like kind of make attunement unviable. It's just a flat damage increase that's like in general non-conditional. The only weapons that is conditional on kind of and like kind of debated are offhand weapons that specifically you are using an ability for utility. So the main thing that comes to mind is like Ice Gauntlet. Ice Gauntlet attunement doesn't make sense unless you're going for a pylon because it won't actually proc all the time. If you cast an Ice Storm, attunement won't proc. If you cast an Ice Shower, attunement won't proc. But if you break your attunement will block, but no one like really cares about that, and no one's going for autos with Ice Gauntlet except for heavies to land the root, so it doesn't really make a lot of sense there. So I'm kind of looking forward to seeing some of these balance changes that they're doing, but the main thing that you need to take away from this video is that gear score is going to be bumped up, so the gear that you have now may or may not be worthless, but I think it's safe to say that stocking up for the Season 3 patch is the safe bet. And other than that, I would just say enjoy your transmogs, and we have 2 weeks until we get some real content here to figure out if this game is gonna kind of survive that next Season 3 lifespan, or if we're gonna continue on this path to sub 15K like maximum players on a day-to-day in New World. And with that being said, I will see you guys in the next video.